Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. This is the follow-up video to the ammunition explanation that I did in my last video. I wanted to talk about the difference between SAE and metric. SAE is generally the American system of math. Metric is generally the European system of math. So SAE stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. Back in the day, auto engineers got together and they came up with a standard measurement for bolts, nuts, that kind of stuff. So when you see 7/16 wrench is 7/16 of an inch, which was the standard that the automotive engineers came up with. In Europe, they moved to the metric system, uh, which mathematically makes a little more sense, but those of us in the States are much more used to SAE numbers. So, um, when you see something like a 45 caliber, if you notice, whenever you see that written, it's .45 caliber. All that means is that the diameter of the bullet, how big around that bullet that's going to fire from the end of your cartridge is .45 of 1 inch. So anytime you see a caliber, what that number means is how much of an inch it is. So a 38 caliber is .38 of an inch. A 40 caliber is .4 of an inch. That's all that is. So there are some similarities, like the 7.62 is actually a 30 caliber. Um, so I wanted to explain the difference there. So when you're looking at a gun that's chambered for whatever size round, um, you're not confused what's the difference between a 9mm and a 38. Well, a 9mm is chambered using a metric measurement, and a 38 is chambered using an SAE measurement. Chambered, what does that mean? Chambered means what size round is the gun set up to take into the chamber. The chamber is where this bullet sits when it's ready to fire and just waiting for the pin to come out and pop that primer on the end and cause the chain reaction to go off that makes that bullet fly off the end. So when you hear people talking about a rifle that's chambered for 7.62 by 39 rounds, the chamber is where this guy sits when it's ready to go boom. So I wanted to clarify that because I looked at my last video and I realized I didn't explain that very clearly. So 45 caliber SAE, 9mm metric. That's really the only difference. You can use Google to convert back and forth if you want to see which bullets are bigger than what, if you're not familiar with the two systems and how they convert over. There's also about 4 billion websites out there that do free conversions for you. So now you know the difference between SAE and metric, and you know what chamber it is. After the last video, you should understand what the gauge on a shotgun means. You should understand what rifling is. I think we're getting through pretty much most or all of the basics as far as ammunition is concerned, and the difference between a shotgun and a rifle I'm going to explain in probably the next video. I'll explain the difference between the two, but basically it comes down to the bullets that it fires are different. Actually, the shells are different. They're made for they're the different style. Also, I think I was a little dismissive with some stuff in the last video. I'm sure some gun guys are going to get upset about that. Um, I know a lot of these numbers aren't really esoteric if you know them. I used that term because if you're looking at them and you know nothing, they're pretty confusing and they seem rather occult. So I want to explain them to you so that anyone who's afraid or intimidated by these numbers can, one, look at them and now see. You can look at the box and you can read those numbers and they make sense to you. And two, You can read information now. If you go to websites or anything like that, you can now look at that information and you have a much more firm grasp of what you're looking at if you knew nothing. Um, there was one or two other things that I wanted to go over where ammunition is concerned. Um, there are different casings. For instance, these are steel casings that are lacquered. Uh, that's because it's cheap ammo. Good ammo, or better ammo, will generally come with brass cases. Brass has an advantage in that, one, it doesn't have to be lacquered, so you don't have to worry about leaving a round chambered. Remember what a chamber is. If you fire a rifle that shoots these enough to make the barrel and the chamber hot, and then you charge around, which means you load it into the chamber and leave it sit there, it can kind of bake this lacquer and cause it to stick. It, kind of, the heat kind of melts it back down, and then this can stick in there. Of course, the easy way to avoid that is simply don't leave a live round chambered, which you should never do anyway. Um, but brass doesn't have that problem. Brass, from what I understand, is also better for reloading if you're going to reload your own shells, your own ammunition at home. I've seen some debate about that, so if you're one of those reloader guys and you feel that steel can be reloaded just fine, please understand that's outside the scope of this video. So I'm not going there. But I hope that clarified the difference between the SAE and the metric measurements that are used on bullets. And if you have any questions, again, leave some comments. I'm requesting that you leave comments rather than PM me, because other people might have the same question. So if I answer them in the comments, they can also benefit from that question that you're asking. Don't feel like any questions are too basic or stupid, because they're not. Remember, I knew none of this stuff 2 months ago. So there it is. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.